5. Morning hygiene mistakes that reveal dementia to doctors. Welcome to the Purely Healthy Seniors channel. Every morning, your body speaks, and sometimes it whispers signs that something deeper is happening inside your mind. Doctors are trained to notice these whispers, especially when they come from small changes in hygiene habits. What seems like forgetting to brush your teeth or skipping a shower might actually be revealing much more than forgetfulness. The content in this video will open your eyes to 5 common hygiene mistakes that, when seen through a medical lens, can quietly reveal the early signs of dementia. This insight can help you or your loved one catch the signs early, respond with compassion, and find hope in what feels like uncertainty. If you find the video interesting, don't forget to like and subscribe to the Purely Healthy Seniors channel so you don't miss the upcoming profound shares too. Leave a comment 1 if you find the content useful, 0 if not, and give me suggestions for improvement. 1. Neglected teeth and mouth. The forgotten clue. You wake up. The sun peeks through the blinds. The first task, one you've done your whole life, is to brush your teeth. It's automatic, routine, a habit so ingrained that you rarely think twice. But what happens when that instinct fades? When brushing your teeth no longer feels natural? When the mouth goes neglected? For doctors, that's more than a hygiene issue. It's a whisper of something deeper: early dementia. Neglecting oral care is one of the earliest and most easily overlooked signs of cognitive decline. It begins subtly. Maybe a senior forgets to brush one morning. Then 2. Then, days stretch into weeks. The mouth becomes dry, breath turns sour, and plaque begins to build. But the bigger concern isn't what's happening inside the mouth. It's what it reflects about the mind. You see, brushing your teeth requires more brain power than we give it credit for. You must remember where the toothbrush is, distinguish it from similar objects, know how to apply toothpaste, and remember the sequence: brush, rinse, repeat. This process depends on something doctors call executive function, the brain's ability to plan, sequence, and carry out tasks. When that system begins to break down, daily hygiene is often the first casualty. I once knew a proud man named Charles. He was a former accountant, sharp, organized, never late for a dentist appointment. But at 76, his wife began to notice his breath was different. He was brushing once a day, sometimes not at all. When she gently asked, he said, "I must have forgotten, or I did it already." But she knew. It wasn't laziness. It was confusion. That confusion grew. And soon, he was diagnosed with early-stage Alzheimer's. It's heartbreaking, yes, but it's also a chance to intervene. Dry mouth, increased cavities, inflamed gums. These are red flags. If a loved one seems unaware of these symptoms, or if you notice their toothbrush untouched or misplaced, pay attention. It's not about criticizing, it's about caring. These signals, caught early, can lead to better outcomes. Early treatment, support, a plan. What can you do? Gently build back the routine. Use visual aids, a checklist near the mirror. Sure. Offer soft encouragement. Let's brush together this morning. Choose an electric toothbrush with a timer. And if dry mouth is a concern, speak to a doctor about saliva substitutes or hydration strategies. Don't let the mouth be forgotten. It's not just about hygiene. It's about dignity, confidence, the sense that you're still in control of your own body. Because the truth is, when the brain begins to slip, the body follows. But with awareness, we can gently guide it back. So tomorrow morning, when you pick up your toothbrush, pause. Remember how this simple act connects you to your memory, your independence, your life. And if someone you love begins to forget, don't scold. Just stand beside them. Brush together. Rebuild what's quietly fading. 2. Uncombed hair and untidy appearance, a mirror to the mind. It's often the mirror that tells the truth first, before a diagnosis, before a doctor's words, before the tests. The reflection looking back at you may quietly shift. Hair left uncombed, shirt buttoned wrong, clothing wrinkled or mismatched. These details seem small, but to a trained eye, They're powerful signs. Signs that the mind is beginning to lose its map. One of the earliest markers doctors look for in patients suspected of dementia is a subtle decline in personal grooming. The tidy senior who once wouldn't leave the house without perfect hair now shrugs off a bedhead. The woman who used to match her scarf to her shoes walks out wearing a nightgown and slippers. These are not acts of rebellion. They are quiet cries from a brain struggling to keep track of what once came naturally. Why does this happen? Because grooming isn't just a routine. It's a multi-step process that depends on memory, attention, and sequencing. You have to recognize the need. My hair needs brushing. Then find the brush. Remember how to use it. Understand why it matters. Dementia chips away at these steps, not all at once, but slowly, one piece at a time. And there's more. Apathy often creeps in, an emotional flatness that makes seniors feel like appearance no longer matters. When someone who used to take great pride in how they looked begins to stop caring, it can be a red flag for more than just depression. It may be early dementia setting in. I once met Lillian, a retired librarian known for her pearl earrings and smooth chignon hairstyle. Her neighbors noticed she began showing up to community dinners with her hair disheveled, no jewelry, and slippers instead of shoes. At first, they thought she was just relaxing into old age. But something didn't feel right. Her daughter took her in for evaluation. Early stage frontotemporal dementia. She hadn't stopped caring. Her brain had stopped reminding her how to care. As heartbreaking as that sounds, there is hope. Noticing these grooming changes early gives caregivers and loved ones a precious opportunity to intervene. You can create a gentle structure, a printed grooming checklist, a laid-out outfit, a scheduled time for brushing hair together. You can encourage choice and independence, letting the senior pick their clothes while offering subtle guidance to prevent mismatched items or underdressing for weather. Even more powerfully, grooming rituals can become acts of connection. A daughter combing her mother's hair, a husband helping his wife tie a scarf. These are not just moments of care. They are moments of love, dignity, and grounding. So if you look in the mirror and see someone who's forgotten a step, or if you notice it in someone you love, don't dismiss it. Don't say, they're just getting old. Look deeper, ask gently, act early. Because behind every uncombed hair is a story. And sometimes it's a story waiting to be understood. 3. Misused toiletries. Confusion in the cabinet. The bathroom, once a space of routine and reassurance, can slowly become a source of confusion for a person with early dementia. Where once everything had its place and purpose, now there is hesitation. What was once automatic, grabbing a toothbrush, spraying perfume, applying lotion, now demands thought, interpretation, and memory. And when those functions falter, small, strange mistakes begin to appear. Doctors often pay attention to these subtle shifts. Misusing toiletries is more than just a senior getting a little mixed up. It's a neurological signal, a breakdown in executive functioning, a sign that the brain can no longer keep track of what things are, what they're for, and how to use them in the correct order. Imagine this. Someone accidentally sprays deodorant in their hair, thinking it's hairspray. Or they rub lotion on their toothbrush, confusing it for toothpaste. Perhaps they wash their face with body wash, or try to comb their hair with a makeup brush. These aren't just funny mishaps. They're telling signs that the person is losing object recognition, a key feature of some forms of dementia, like Alzheimer's or semantic dementia. I remember one man, a former Navy officer named George, a man who had lived his life with precision. Each morning was the same routine: shaving cream, razor, cologne, comb. But one day, his wife noticed a change. The cologne was nearly empty, but his scent was missing. She checked the bathroom and found the cologne bottle damp. He had been using it as aftershave. A small mistake. But when she asked him, he grew defensive. Not because he was angry, because he was confused and embarrassed. He didn't realize he had done anything wrong. This is important to remember. These mistakes often carry shame. The person may try to hide what they've done or lash out when corrected. That's why compassionate observation is crucial. Instead of confronting them with, "Why would you do that?" which invites fear and guilt, try, "Let me help you get what you need," and gently guide them. If you begin to see these signs, you can make small but meaningful changes. Label toiletry bottles with large, clear font. Color code caps. Limit the number of products available. Consider using drawers or baskets labeled with steps. Step 1, toothpaste and brush. Step 2, face wash. These tiny adjustments can reduce confusion and restore a sense of order. Caregivers can also introduce mirrored routines, performing morning hygiene side by side, modeling the correct steps. Not only does this reduce errors, but it builds intimacy, familiarity, and trust. And if mistakes still happen, remember, the goal is not perfection. The goal is comfort, safety, and dignity. Because each time someone reaches for that bottle or brush, they are trying to hold on to their independence, trying to participate in the world they once knew. And that effort deserves gentleness, not judgment. When the tools in the cabinet become unfamiliar, it's time to listen, not just to the hands, but to the mind behind them. Because dementia doesn't always start with forgetfulness. Sometimes it starts with confusion in the most familiar places. 4. Inconsistent bathing, too much or not at all bathing. A ritual so deeply tied to dignity, comfort, and daily rhythm can become strangely inconsistent when dementia begins to settle in. For some, it becomes a forgotten task entirely. For others, it turns into an obsession, with multiple showers a day that don't quite bring the sense of freshness they once did. Either extreme, whether bathing too little or too much, is not merely a matter of preference. It can be a red flag waving quietly in the bathroom mirror. One of the hallmarks of dementia is the loss of time awareness. A person may no longer track the passing of days. They might believe they showered this morning when it was actually 3 days ago. Or, conversely, they might feel compelled to shower again and again, unsure of whether they did it already. This disconnection can lead to a body that is either neglected or overwashed, both of which have consequences. A neglected bath can lead to hygiene-related skin infections, body odor, and discomfort. But perhaps more importantly, it signals that the brain has stopped prompting the individual to attend to a deeply personal need. The part of the mind that once said, "It's time to get clean," has gone silent. On the other hand, overbathing may seem harmless. After all, isn't it good to stay clean? But frequent bathing can dry out the skin, strip it of protective oils, and create irritation. More importantly, it may reveal a deeper anxiety or confusion common in certain types of dementia. A person might bathe again and again in an effort to feel control, or out of the nagging sense that something is always undone. I knew a woman named Teresa, who had always bathed in the evening with her favorite lavender soap. She once joked that if she couldn't be clean, she couldn't sleep. But as dementia crept into her life, her daughter noticed she stopped bathing altogether. She didn't seem to notice the smell, or the stiffness of her clothes. When gently reminded, she'd say, "I'll do it later." Days would pass. Teresa wasn't resisting hygiene. She had simply forgotten the rhythm of her day. In other cases, like my neighbor Carl, it was the opposite. He would shower 3 times before lunch, always saying he just got home from work, though he'd been retired for 20 years. That disconnection from reality, from the passage of time, was part of his advancing condition. So how do we help? Gently and lovingly. Start by structuring bathing as a routine, tied to another familiar activity. After breakfast, it's bath time. Use calming cues, soft lighting, warm towels, favorite soaps with familiar scents, and above all, remove judgment. Bathing may become a place of fear, especially if someone with dementia feels cold, vulnerable, or confused. If your loved one resists bathing, don't force it in the moment. Wait, let's try again later, or break it into smaller steps, maybe just a sponge bath one day, hair washing the next. Flexibility, patience, and gentle repetition can keep this vital task from becoming a battleground. If they bathe too often, keep track gently. Perhaps place a sticky note in the bathroom. Showered today at 8 a.m. or use verbal reminders with a calm tone. Sometimes, a trusted caregiver modeling the behavior or offering a shared moment, "Let's freshen up together," can reduce the anxiety. Bathing is more than a physical act. It is one of the last daily rituals many seniors hold on to as a sign of control, self-respect, and identity. When it falters, listen closely. It may not be about dirt. It may be about memory, time, fear, confusion, or it may be about a mind slowly losing its sense of where the day begins and ends. 5. Struggle with dressing order. Clothing in chaos. Getting dressed may seem like a simple part of your morning, but it actually requires a remarkable level of coordination, memory, and spatial awareness. For many people, especially those dealing with the early stages of dementia, this everyday routine starts to crumble in ways that can look subtle, humorous, or even alarming. A shirt put on backwards, underwear worn over pants, socks forgotten, or 2 different shoes on the wrong feet. To the untrained eye, these might seem like harmless quirks. But to doctors who understand the cognitive demands of dressing, these mishaps are powerful clues. They point toward a decline in sequencing ability, the brain's skill in organizing steps in the right order, something that often deteriorates in early dementia. Dressing requires more than just remembering what to wear. It involves visual recognition. What is this piece of clothing? Spatial awareness. How do I put it on? And motor coordination. How do I button this? Zip that. When any part of this mental chain is broken, the entire process can fall apart. And often, the person affected doesn't realize anything is wrong. I once met Samuel, a retired mechanic with hands that had built engines and fixed just about anything you could break. But his wife started to notice something strange. He'd come out of the bedroom wearing 2 different socks, or a shirt over his pajamas. One morning, he put on his belt before his pants. When she gently pointed it out, he laughed, a little embarrassed. But it kept happening. Eventually, he couldn't remember what order to do things in at all. These are not acts of laziness or silliness. They are signs that the brain is losing its grip on sequence. What comes first, next, last. This breakdown is common in Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia, and it can be an early indicator before more obvious memory loss sets in. Sometimes, the individual becomes frustrated. They may get angry with themselves or others. They may stop trying altogether, retreating into clothing that's easy to put on, or refusing to change out of pajamas. The act of dressing, once a private and personal routine, now becomes a source of anxiety and confusion. What can you do? The answer is structure, simplification, and sensitivity. Lay clothes out in the order they should be worn, from top to bottom or left to right. Use large print labels if necessary. Choose garments with fewer fasteners, elastic waistbands, Velcro shoes, slip-on tops. Avoid overwhelming choices. Too many options can paralyze someone with cognitive decline, and always approach with compassion. If your loved one dresses out of order, resist the urge to correct with irritation. Instead, offer quiet guidance. "Let me help with this sleeve." Or even, "Let's try this shirt today. It's one of your favorites." A calm tone, a smile, and gentle hands can turn a confusing moment into one of connection. Some caregivers even turn dressing into a shared activity, playing soft music, talking through each step, making it a moment of closeness rather than chaos. This helps preserve dignity, which is so easily eroded when independence begins to fade. Because the truth is, getting dressed is about more than clothing. It's about identity, comfort, confidence. When someone begins to lose that, they need help, not just to cover their body, but to rebuild their sense of self. So if you notice someone struggling with the order of dressing, don't dismiss it as harmless forgetfulness. It might be the mind's way of asking for help, and your gentle response might be the lifeline they need. Every morning, the body whispers. And if you listen closely enough, really listen, you'll begin to hear what it's trying to say. These 5 hygiene mistakes might look like minor slips: forgotten toothpaste, unbrushed hair, lotion on the toothbrush, clothes in a strange order, or bathing routines that just vanish. But to the trained eye, and to the loving heart of a caregiver or family member, they are signs. Not just of aging, but of deeper changes taking place in the mind. Dementia doesn't always start with forgetting names or getting lost in the neighborhood. Sometimes it begins in the bathroom, at the sink, in front of the closet. The most ordinary spaces of daily life become the first stage for a quiet battle within the brain. That's why paying attention to hygiene habits is not about vanity. It's about vigilance. It's about protecting dignity before it slips too far away. But with that awareness comes a great gift: early recognition. And with early recognition comes the chance to support, adapt, plan, and most importantly, connect. You are not helpless in the face of these signs. Whether you're the one noticing changes in yourself or someone you love, you have tools. You have compassion. You have the power to slow the tide. You can build new routines, create visual guides, simplify choices, and offer gentle hands where confusion takes root. And more than anything, you can remind your loved one, or yourself, that they are still seen, still worthy of care, still capable of love and connection, even in the face of change. So tomorrow morning, take a closer look at the toothbrush, at the mirror, at the clothes laid out on the bed. Listen not just to what you see, but to what it might be telling you. Because morning is not just the start of a new day. It's a daily chance to notice, to care, and to respond with kindness. If you find the video meaningful, please share it with your loved ones. And don't forget to subscribe to the Purely Healthy Seniors channel to continue my journey of living beautifully in old age.